libations and food, and tonight we're going to test 5 different courses with 2 pairings per course. And the purpose of our program is for people to become better educated about what pairs well with food, because it enhances and expands your culinary experience if you have the right libations pairing with your food. And we want everybody to have a great time eating and drinking through the course of their life. So today we have our co-host, Michel Vejar, and she is a traveling Epicurean.
Thank you, Kyle.
And also recently launched a book called Yum!
Yum.
And it's about appetizers.
Appetizers. Everybody needs appetizers in their life.
And our first appetizer will be one of her, from her recipe book, and it's delicious.
The baked asparagus.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited about this event because it's going to be fun and educational. And I mean, we have judges, we have wine, food, and live music. Like, what more does a person need, right?
Yes.
So, let's get rolling.
So we have 3 judges this evening. We have Rachel Constantin, and she is an actress, but she also has a huge food and beverage background, and was a judge on Chopped Junior. All right,
Yeah.
and our second judge is Matthew Winthrop, and Matt is a wealth manager during the day. He works for a New York City firm called Aegis, and he's also a fantastic musician, and he's going to play some music for us later on today, and he's a foodie. So I constantly see recipes that he's posting on Facebook that he's made, and all it's so yummy. So, and he's also funny, so that's fantastic. You're welcome. And we have Gail Suchman, and Gail is a certified specialist of wine, and she also has a food and wine pairing designation from Fine Vintage Limited. And this year she was nominated as Lux Life New England's event planner of 2020. Michel's appetizer course.
I love this appetizer. It's very simple. It's very forgiving. It's an easy appetizer. It's one of my biggest requests when I do catering. So it is baked asparagus wrapped in prosciutto di Parma, and there's a little bit of a cream cheese Vidalia onion smear on the inside. And when cream cheese puffs, it gets nice and light and creamy. It's really lovely. So we're going to start with prosciutto di Parma, and we're going to roll up the blanched asparagus. The cream cheese is room temperature, and you really need it to be room temperature, otherwise you won't be able to smear it on there. And then you start it at the bottom, and then you just roll it up, and then you lay it on the cookie sheet, and when you're ready, you're going to just bake it for 7 minutes.
So we are going to pair Michel's dish with a French Saunier, which is a sparkling wine from Burgundy. It's 100% Pinot Noir, and a Pinot Gris from California in the Russian River Valley. Both of those should pair with these dishes, but we want to find out what you think is the best.
I love the way the cream cheese just sort of touches onto it.
Yeah.
With the olive oil, it really is a nice
and
flavor.
it brings it all together. And then you have the asparagus, which is slightly bitter, so you want to think about that in your tasting too. And then you have the fat from the cream cheese, but that all comes into picture when you're doing your wine tasting.
Right. These wines pair well with this dish because of the creaminess. Both of them cut through, are highly acidic and can cut through the cheese, and also the prosciutto di Parma to make it a better quality.
Absolutely.
Rachel, what is your favorite of the 2?
Can you show me the bottles again?
Yes, JCB 69, and that is from Burgundy, and it's 100% Pinot Noir, and I actually help sell JCB wine. So that's Jean-Charles Boisset. He's originally from Burgundy, and then he opened up a bunch of wineries in California, but that one is actually from Burgundy. And he also married Gina Gallo, so they are very much the wine couple.
So it's interesting because they're 2 pretty different wines,
Mm-hmm.
but they both complement the dish so nicely in different ways.
Yeah.
The sparkling, it has a freshness, it's a palate cleansing feeling with the creaminess of the dish and with the cheeses. And when you have the Pinot Gris, it's a little creamier, so it really picks up the creaminess of
Yeah.
the cheeses.
So do you have a favorite?
I prefer the sparkling rosé as the starter on this. It's always nice to start with a sparkling wine.
Great. What is your choice, Matt?
I would
I'll get back to
concur.
you.
I think that the rosé is a delicious. I've
It
really never
is.
had something like this. It's
I
not
know.
quite champagne-y, but it's sparkly.
Right.
And it has a good flavor, and I think it really, it shares with the flavor of the meat. With the, I think they complement each other, so I'm more of a fan of that.
Yeah.
So I think the sparkling burgundy goes great with the prosciutto. The acidity and the salt balance each other. But with the San Andre cheese, I actually prefer, if I have to choose, I would say the sparkling burgundy.
Okay, but great. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much.
But they're both delicious.
Our second course is going to be a honey thyme baked pear with Saint-Agur blue cheese from France and arugula salad. And this is so delicious, but for me, the best is to have a Comise pear. You can use any kind of pear, but the Comise I think is the best because it's like sweeter than most of them, and it's creamy. And we're pairing it with a poulet fussé and a Sancerre. So poulet fussé is from Burgundy and Sancerre is from Sancerre. And both of them are from France.
So you're pairing the pear dish, are you?
Yeah.
Double entendre there. This is a delicious pear.
So it's baked in honey, did you say?
Yes, it's baked in honey, and that is through Rachel's friend and business associate. And why don't you tell us about that?
Oh, it's Red Bee Honey,
Red Bee Honey, right here.
and they're located in Lions Plains Road in Weston,
Connecticut.
So, yeah, so Marina Marchese has started her own business. She's also an artist, and she's written several books about honey.
And
So how do you do the pear? How do you prepare the pears? You soak them in the...
no, well, what you do is you bake them.
Oh.
So you cut up the pears, you put them on thyme. On your baking sheet, you have to put them on thyme. Then you drizzle the honey all over it, and you bake them for 15 minutes.
With no liquids. There aren't
Correct.
any liquids in there. Okay.
So much going on, and
There's
it's
so
just
much
exciting
going on.
for your taste buds.
And the shallots and that dressing,
Yes.
it just all pulls together. It's very
Absolutely,
nice.
yeah.
Wow. This is exciting.
I know.
This is a good cheese.
I know.
Is that
It
cheese?
looks like it's going to be a really overtaking,
But it's
overwhelming.
delicate. Isn't it delicate?
Right. And fresh.
And when you get some of that pear on your
With
fork with the cheese,
Yeah.
and you have that little bit of tangy with the
And that
sweet.
creamy quality in the pear is amazing.
Yes.
It
Oh.
is. It is.
So how are we feeling about our tastings
wines.
there?
Mm.
Rachel, what do you think?
I prefer the Sancerre.
With the
Sancerre?
sunset.
Love Sancerre.
Oh, well, let me see. Yeah, the Sancerre and especially the cheese pair very nicely together. It's hard to pair anything with a vinegar,
Yeah.
right? So with the salad dressing, it's very difficult to pair almost any wine.
But that's a very delicate salad dressing.
So Kyle's dressing is wonderful. It's a mix of shallots, grapeseed oil, grape juice, white grape juice, a little vinegar. You could use apple cider vinegar, a little salt and pepper, thyme. The acidity in this Sancerre is nice in that little bit of vegetal quality that comes through on the Sancerre is so nice.
Like
with
grassy,
the
it's almost grassy.
lettuces, right, right, and it's nicely complemented with the cheese and the pear. So I concur.
Oh, thank you.
Cheers. And Matt, what do you think?
How do you feel about this
Well,
map?
you can tell by my two glasses which one I prefer.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm more of a fan of the poulet fussé.
Awesome.
It has sort of a subtle flavor that adds. I think it mixes well, as you say, with the vinaigrette dressing.
When you break down the elements on the plate,
mm-hmm.
that creaminess with the sweetness of the pear. I love that. Whereas the Sancerre, because you have more acidity, it's nice with the vinaigrette and the lettuces, but both really, it's very subjective there.
It is subjective,
Yeah,
absolutely, and
yeah.
that's what's lovely about wine
Exactly.
pairing, because you get to try.
Our third course is a wild mushroom soup with sherry and thyme, and it's paired with a red Zinfandel from Russian River Valley versus a Syrah from Russian River Valley.
So Kyle and I were talking about wild mushroom soup. Has a lot of umami, which is
Umami, savory, yeah.
savory, a little salty, and we were discussing, it'd be interesting to see with a red wine what picks up that
Absolutely.
savory, salty flavor.
Yeah.
Mommy, would you come in here for a minute? I'm sorry, I couldn't, I
Mommy,
just.
not
I'm-
mommy.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just.
I think the Zinfandel pairs
Okay.
wonderfully
You're
with
both
this.
very good.
I think the Syrah is a little too sharp.
The best way to taste the wine is actually smelling it, because
course.
you get your taste from smell. So you should really smell, take a nice
Like a
nice
sniff.
swirl, So my choice is the Syrah as well. I feel like the Syrah has a little bit of less acidity, which I feel pairs nicely with the soup.
Yes.
And that's what I'm enjoying, is the lower tannin, lower acidity, and the Syrah with that heartiness.
I think the Syrah had more tannins, more acidic.
I'm sorry, tannins?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Right,
What
this
do you
soup-
think, Matt?
This soup grows on you.
It's
The first hit, I was like, okay, it's all right, and it really.
And that's because of the pairing, probably.
That's probably
Yeah, that's why it expands your
Yeah.
experience.
It really,
if you pair well.
And the acidity in that sherry really has dissipated. And
Yes.
it's just blended in and brought it
Yeah.
all together. So you don't even have that acidity to match with the acidity in the
Note to
red wine.
self,
But you have the
dissipating
earthiness
sherry acidity.
of the, you have the
Make
earthiness
sure.
of the mushrooms that you're really digging into,
Yeah.
right? With
The
that.
second one I found, this was just too tannic for me.
all right,
The
tannic.
Syrah.
Can we-
The Syrah.
can we
Syrah.
share
Like
Tannic, T-A-N-I-C?
Tannins.
Two N's.
T-A-N.
I see.
Okay,
I see.
and tannic means?
It means like
Non-sommelier.
it's like a bitter. It causes your mouth to withdraw, sort of, versus like a sweet, which causes it to get more.
So
It's like
we-
a drying
if we're a
of-
venture, we don't wanna have tannic.
So you know that.
Tannins give you texture to wine. So
Okay.
it's not something that you don't want.
But it can be. It has to be.
And
paired
is that
with
something
like
that
food.
evolves while it's aging? What is tannic?
No, some grapes are
It's a
just
grape
more
property?
tannic.
Okay,
And tea, when you have tea, you know
Yeah.
it's almost
Yeah.
as a drying, it kind of dries your mouth.
okay.
So those are tannins.
Textural feel.
Yeah.
It's a drying sensation, and it's caused from the skins of the grape, actually,
Yeah.
and the stems too, and how much of that is produced and into the wine.
Kyle, what was your preference?
I'm going to say Zen
Oh, good.
because.
Hey, here come that. All right.
Well, I love red. I'm from California
Yeah.
as well. I grew up in California, close to the Napa Valley and Sonoma, etc. And one of my favorite life experiences was having a red Zinfandel at some winery, although I don't remember the winery. But it was so spicy and zingy, and it was fantastic.
To have some patience, which I don't often have in my life. The,
Yes,
the
right.
zinni is actually coming around. Perhaps because I finished the other one, but actually, these are both excellent pairings.
The Syrah to me has a more of a fuller mouthfeel in the soup, so it's more of a comparable to comparable
Yes.
for me.
So for our fourth course, we are having Julia Child's beef bouillon, however you say bouillon, but it means
Bourguignon.
Burgundy, Pinot Noir from Burgundy, which this dish originated in Burgundy. And the other wine is a Barbaresco from Piedmont, Italy. And the Nebbiolo grape, which is what Barbaresco and Barolo are made out of, is said to be like the Pinot Noir of Italy. That the grape is thin-skinned, is similar, but it's probably more tannic. But anyway, that's the pairing.
And look at the legs on that, but really.
Yeah, I love legs.
The other one's okay. But
You don't like it as much?
I like it a bit better, but they're both delicious.
Start eating.
I will.
'Cause that's-
And not to sway everybody's wine pairing choice on this one, but traditionally you would drink wine from the region in Europe. You would drink wine from that region with their regional dish.
Yes.
Okay, so you drink Burgundy with.
We would do a Pinot
both
Noir.
Bourguignon.
Pinot
Yes.
Noir from Burgundy with beef bourguignon. So they in Europe, right? They're making wines to go with their regional food.
If you can't drink with it, you shouldn't cook with it.
Right.
That's my motto. But you don't want to cook too much with it that you don't have anything left to drink.
Tell us about how you made the beef dish. So it's a traditional Julia style. You'd steep it first in the wine and let it sit for a while. And
You bake it for hours. It's a long process. But that causes it to be more tender, but stick together, as you said.
yeah.
You can taste all the layers in there.
Yeah.
My brother's famous story was like he went to BU in like 1973, and he got a job as a market research guy going door to door in Boylston, and knocks on the door, hello, can I help you? And it was Julia Child.
Really?
And he did a market research thing. They were like sampling something, and she invited him in and had dinner. And
Wow.
you know, he was a 19-year-old long-haired hippie freak at BU,
Oh, so
and had a
nice.
really experience of a lifetime.
Both wines are delicious, but I personally am detecting more acidity in the
My
Barolo,
personality.
in the
Sorry. Cut. I'm sorry. I couldn't.
I'm loving the Barbaresco.
I am too.
I think it's smoother in tannins. It's lovely, and it's really cutting. You know, usually when you have a beef dish, you want something that you can cut it a little bit, but still
So short.
Pair with it.
pair with it. That's lovely. I love that Barbaresco.
What do you think,
And-
Rachel?
This one is the Burgundy.
Yes.
I prefer the Burgundy with
Do
my
you?
with my book.
Look, Rach and I are on the same planet on this
So
one.
what do you think are the textural differences in these two wines?
they're similar. They're similar textural. Their
Yeah.
weight is similar.
The tannins are lovely. They're soft tannins. I feel that dryness at the end. You know, that finish.
I thought the
But it's
Barbaresco had a little more.
Fruitiness to that, maybe
Well,
jammy
just-
almost.
It was a bigger experience for me.
Yeah.
Where the Pinot Noir was more of a blending, but that's just me, you know.
I'm getting a little bit more spice and acidity in the
The Burgundy.
Barbaresco.
Barbaresco.
yeah, okay.
Me too.
Right. So I prefer the smoothness and the lower tannins of the Pinot Noir to pair with this dish.
I agree. Hey, we agree.
So we have two, the Barbaresque, and then what's your
Yeah, I'm a
opinion on
Burgundy
that?
guy on this one. Although
Michelle, the
Yeah,
bread
correct.
is just perfect too with
Thank
this
you.
dish.
Wow.
That rustic.
And there's chew to that. There's some definite texture to that bread,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
You won't believe how simple this bread is to make. It's beyond
I'm
simple.
not a baker.
Wow.
It's
I like
fail
it.
safe. It's very forgiving. The less you do to it, the better it comes out.
I feel like this dish, it's a rustic dish, right?
Yes.
And it's hearty, and that bread is so rustic
Yeah.
and hearty. And then, of course, that Pinot Noir, my choice,
Perfect, yes.
is just perfectly balanced with this dish. So it's a wonderful meal.
For our fifth course, we are having classic creme brulee, although it has some vanilla bean in it and also
Grand Marnier.
Grand Marnier,
Little hint of orange.
which was Michelle's idea. She told me about that. And we are
Nice.
pairing it with Sauterne and Vinsanto.
Lovely.
Ooh.
Very
So let's
lovely.
see what we
Lovely.
think.
And these are dessert wines.
Yes. And-
Sweets
My sous chef.
need sweets when you're pairing, and that's a very
Right.
Right.
So
rule
the,
to live
yeah.
by.
The pairing needs to be as sweet or sweeter than the
Creme
dessert.
brulee.
Really?
So you hear that cracking, and then you have
Yeah.
the
I
nice,
thought that was Rice Krispies.
the burnt sugar.
Now, what are we drinking?
That's perfect.
All right, I have my
So
clear.
that is
That's it. The
Sauterne.
next
The
one.
reason the Saturn, I feel, goes great with it. It has a buttery,
Yeah.
a buttery
That's
In this one,
taste.
buttery.
Yes,
The
And
Vinsanto.
the Vinsanto. Oh, I think in the Saturns.
yeah.
Oh, we're in disagreement again.
And what kind
The finish is
Oh,
butter.
we have disagreement
I'm
here
feeling
again.
like the finish is a very buttery.
Are these like a
Finish.
cognac?
You do,
Or how
and
would you
I
describe
find
these?
this buttery and
Yeah.
creamy
They're-
from start to finish.
Tell us about the liqueur. What are these?
Well, the Sauterne is from Bordeaux, and it's just a sweet,
It's a little fruity.
classic. It's a classic French liqueur for pairing with desserts, and that is what Vinsanto is in Italy.
It's amazing. She's amazing.
Best freaking creme brulee I've ever had in my life. It's
is.
so awesome. You know why?
Wonderful.
Why?
Because the custard is not too thick, right? It's smiling. Yeah, how can you not eat this and smile?
It's lovely.
Blow up a
It is
small
lovely.
house.
Now
Delicious.
back to the wine pairing.
Right.
You're always pulling us back.
It's
into the
difficult,
academic
you know, and
part.
it's amazing. Like all night long, like we've had such close pairings. It could have gone
Absolutely.
either way, and it's just a matter of preference, which is
Agreed.
lovely about tasting, and because everybody's palate
Yes, I
is
know.
different.
Right.
So, Rachel, how are you feeling about these pairings?
Well, the Sauterne I've only had with foie gras.
And frog gras.
And
I love frog gras.
Saturns and faux gras.
And the Vinsanto I only had with biscotti. You know, where you take
Right.
the biscotti and dunk it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So this is an interesting pairing. I think the Sauterne didn't really match that well. I think
Hold up to
I
it.
think the
Really, I
Vinsanto
disagree with her.
was a
Held
little
up to it
bolder.
a little
Like,
bit more.
yes, because this was so creamy and delicate.
I
and
agree
We
with,
needed the
with Rachel
Vinsanto.
on that one.
But
You have
Kyle,
to-
I'm curious what you and Michelle think. What is your favorite pairing with this dessert?
Okay, so I agree that these are
The Sauternes.
the Sauterne is like smooth together with this, and that this is more of like a zip contrast.
And I agree. I like the Vinsanto. I like the complementary. So they are balancing each other. The congruent is more going on the same path, which also works. But I feel like in this situation, I like the complementary instead of the congruent.
But that is why we're doing these food and wine pairing things to help you understand how pairing it with the right wine or liqueur or other
Or libation.
yes, makes it a bigger experience. Thank you so much for joining us for Libations and Food.
Great.
We
What a great night!
hope to help you make better selections that you enjoy tremendously. And we can't wait to see you again. Be sure to go to our blog and try the recipes, pair them with the wines. You can also purchase them, some of them, on our website, and see what you think. And then you can vote too, what you think is the best pairing.
And then we have some live music too, right?
I'm here. She's the ballroom queen in Memphis. Tried to take me upstairs for a ride. Lady, she done covered me with roses. divorcee.